Well, hello again. It's July 17, 2020, and made our way to Lock 25, Erie Canal Lock 25 in Rotterdam Junction. Just to orient you, that way is east towards Albany. This way is west. Lock Street is right over behind these houses. So that would have been I don't know if that's the lock tender's house or not. Certainly looks like it could be. I don't know the name of the road up there. This is the going to be part of the Canalway Trail system. And this was buried. I mean, it was hard to get to. Years ago, it was just if you knew it was here, you could find it, but it was not easy to get to. And the construction here has really opened it up, and they're making it into a park. I remember coming here 30 years ago with John DeMira. John DeMira was in charge of trails at the time, the canals, and they were putting in all the trails, and we drove along here in my Civic, my old father-in-law's Civic that he'd given us. Just sort of drove along this path. John DeMira was amazed that I even tried to do that, but I wanted to show him the potential of the trail. Even before that, I had come over here and I talked to the guy who owned this, and I said, wanted to put a trail in here, and he says, yeah, you can put a trail across my land as long as you expose the lock here. And now here it is 30 some odd years later, and it's finally going in. I have nothing to do with that. I'm just telling the story because it was interesting that it's always been here. Really good condition. There's water has been trapped in here because of the railroad. There used to be a bridge down there. There's a postcard with a bridge showing the railroad with a bridge going over it. And I'm going to put my equipment down here. Hopefully it's here when I get back. It's blazingly hot today. It's getting up into the 90s, and the humidity is about 4,000%. It's right at noon right now, and it's so the light's probably not the best. But anyway, here's the original chamber. I would guess 1840s. Well constructed. The water's always been in here, so the floor is always been wet, and so we've had no rot, so there's been no settling whatsoever. Looking west here, was dried out, but I don't think it impacted the lock itself. Get over to the other side, the lengthened side, and there's the approach wall and the lengthened side. So again, this would be the original chamber. Here's the sill right here. So there's the and this one had the sill before the doors, so, or the drop off before the doors. Sometimes you find this located over here, so you had fuller length doors. May have that backwards, I don't know. Anyway, so 1840s, and then you have the extension, and if you notice, the extension is kind of bumped out a little bit, made it a little bit wider. All part of that making it easier to get in and out of the locks. We'll look at that a little later here. Some of the ironwork is still here. And nicely, somebody has put a ladder up here. I don't know if they did that for convenience sake or safety sake or whatever. Certainly not a approved ladder. You can always tell the upstream side of the locks because you got these holes. All the Erie Canal locks have these overflow holes. The original Erie Canal locks had a bypass. They were single chamber and they had a bypass. And when they doubled them up, they here's the pit. When they doubled them up, they put the bypass right down the middle of the lock, so it runs right underneath the lock. So down there somewhere is a culvert, probably about 4 foot high or 4 foot wide, stone lane culvert, and the water, the excess water. So right here you can see where they would put boards in that regulate the height of the water. So this right here would be an island, and it's typical to find these spoil piles built inside it just to help toughen up the island, but there would have been wood attached to here, going out a wood deck, to basically sieve out the trees and any debris from going into these holes, and to help the boats line up for the lock chambers, so they weren't smashing into the stonework. Here's the approach wall on that side. You see. Now, I'm going to climb up this ladder, and in order not to stop the recording here, I'm going to do this quite unsafely, and see if I can fall over. And if I fall over, I've recorded my own death. Ooh! And if you do happen to come down here, just be aware that when you come up the ladder, there's a hole right here, and you don't want to jump off the ladder and not be aware that there's a hole. And this hole was for the turbine. So in the 1880s, 1890s, in order to help boat traffic go through, the boats were larger and they were filling up the locks and they were a lot heavier. And in order to help the boats go through, the excess water that was spilling through the stones here, through the holes, by way of the culvert, was directed into a small 2-foot horizontal turbine, and there was all kinds of names for them. You see Garley on one of them, and Garley's turbine, but any 2-foot turbine would do. The turbine would be spinning down here in the bottom of the hole, going around, water's flowing, turning the turbine. There would be a shaft that would come right up the middle, and then across here there would have been some gears and shafts, bevel gear and shafts, and some clutches, hand throw clutches. And then out on the end, there would have been some capstans, and sometimes they are cut right into the stonework, sometimes they're probably set right on top here, bolted right to the top. And that way the boats could wrap a rope around the capstan, just like they have with the barge canal locks today. They have the capstans on them, and they could wrap the ropes around the capstan and help pull the boats in and out of the locks, and save a little effort on the mules. Here's the single chamber, and the single chambers are usually on the side with the towpath, just for boat handling purposes. But anyway, just look out for that hole. You can see some of the ironwork there for the drive mechanism sticking up there. Sometimes you see all 3 holes are exposed. That looks pretty rugged. They're pretty rough chopped, so they just hacked away. Sometimes you find all these holes are missing, or all the stones are, the holes uncovered. Walk down the island here, pretty open. Somebody's been doing some work down here. It's some evidence. Somebody's been hacking away. Like I say, well-preserved locks, lock 25. Lift, I looked yesterday, lift was about 8 foot. Typical for the Erie Canal locks. There's the nice duckweed. Water's covered with duckweed. And work your way down through here. Lift was 8 foot, stepping down towards the Hudson. 72 Erie Canal, enlarged Erie Canal locks. 67 of them all stepped down towards the Hudson. 5 of them stepped up towards the Hudson. And locks 50 or 47, 48, 49, 51, and 52 all had a reverse rise. So boats coming from Buffalo had to go uphill in those locks. The rest of them all stepped downhill to reach Albany and the Hudson River. Here's the island. So the original locks that had ended right here. So this would be the end of it. And it looks like, I haven't been able to determine if that's a different stone, or it's a different color stone. Oh, wait a minute. They're a different color stone, or if that was a concrete mix that they put in there to do some repairs. It's definitely not the same stone. And it's right in that top course. I'm not quite sure if this was part of the 9-foot deepening process here, if it made it down this far. You can see the stones here on the steps. That top stone looks a lot like concrete to me, but it may be just a different type of limestone. And yeah, you know, carefully walk down the stones here, or the steps, and get down. And if you want to do that, the steps at Yankee Hill Lock are a lot safer. I think they're, and also the Yankee Hill Lock, they have the nameplate right here, which is, if you haven't seen that, Lock 29. Lock 29. You want to make sure you see that. This was interesting. I noticed this, and underneath the stonework, it's really eaten away there. And I don't know if that's from ropes. Kind of unusual that the ropes would be down that far, because the towpath is over here. So the ropes would be pulling that way. I don't know if that's just erosion or what that is, but it's unusual. Some of the locks you see where the towpath is on the other side, you'll see the ropes have grabbed here and made it tough. Maybe it's from the 1850s or before they did the enlargement, or the extension here. Here's the extension. I think every extension I've seen has been built a little bit different. Anyway, you can see the metalwork, and right there, metalwork, and there would have been a timber, big timber, and then a deck. So the deck would have been sitting on top of this notch here, extending out probably to about here, and you would have had like a wooden walkway up there so the boats coming into the extended, elongated chamber there. Let me get up here without killing myself. Nobody knows I'm here, so if I fall in the canal and drown, nobody will know where to look for me until they find my car. Here's the extension. This is, I'm not sure of the date, but 1880s, late 1880s, 1890s, they would have done these. The reason was because they were hooking two boats together. And when they hooked two boats together, they articulated in the middle, so the back boat became a rudder for the front boat. And then that could be pulled by either another powered boat. The front boat or the back boat could be powered and push it, or two boats could be pulled by a team of 3 mules. And so they, in order to stop the uncoupling and coupling every time, what they did is they elongated all these locks, lengthened them all. And so you see the middle doors here. So this is the old chamber here, and you can see the stonework is quite different. And then you see the stonework here, and the stonework is nice and smooth and much newer looking than the old 1850s stonework. And they would just block in those gates. I mean, I guess if they left the gates there, they could have, in case they just had a single boat come through, they could have just had a single, but most cases they just took block those gates out. And then as I was noticing here, you'll see this this curve right here, and this chamber here is wider than this chamber. And the reason they did that is just, again, for those boats, those long boats. So it just gave the water somewhere to go. So as the boat is coming in, the water that's in the lock chamber has to be pushed out of the way. The boat is displacing its own weight in water, so the water has to go somewhere, so it has to go back out. So as the boat is coming in, it's pushing all that water ahead of it, and the more it gets into the chamber, the more water is pushing back, and it's pushing back, which is one of the reasons they put the capstans in, because they just wanted it was very tough for the mules to pull the boats in like that. And so one of the things they did is when they put these lengthened chambers in, is they would widen them out a little bit. The boat itself obviously could only be as wide as the original chamber, but it just gave a little bit more room for the water to sneak out around the boat. And it's all part of the tractive resistance studies that they were doing in the 1870s and 1880s. It's heading that way. They got Lock 23, which is Alexander's Lock down by Rotterdam, down by Lock 8, and you can climb all over that one too. It's well preserved. You can climb out on the extension and walk all over. A fun place to go. These locks here, when they built the barge canal, Lock 23 and 24 were replaced. Would have been the comparable would have been barge canal Lock 8. Lock 25 here, the comparable would be barge canal Lock 9 in Rotterdam Junction. And then when you get to the west, 26, 27 is out by barge canal Lock 10. So here's your shots. I'm sure this is if you could just before the duckweed comes in, probably get some outstandingly probably canalway or is it the National Corridor calendar worthy shots without the duckweed. Maybe the duckweed will add something to it. I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be pictures of this lock. Now it's all exposed. You can see this is the right here is the stonework. I'm down on the steps, so if a boat, I'm sorry for that spinning around, for the boats coming in, the boat could pull up here. One of the mates could step off and walk up these stones. Now there's a reason, if you look, I'm a little close, but if you look at these stones, you notice that these stones are a lot older looking than these stones. And the reason is because when they lengthened these locks, all they did was they took these stones off of the original chamber, numbered them, and just brought them to the end. So they didn't recreate all these, they just reused them all. And so the stonework here and everything, you can tell the difference in the eras because this right here is old stone, and this right here looks like a lot newer stone. So, and you can see somebody's been down here working. Anyway, that's Lock 25. Hopefully, I think plans are, when I was a kid, you could come up Spafford Road and cross right over where the train tracks were, and this canal extends quite a ways. It goes all the way down to the other side of Lower Rotterdam Junction. Goes all the way down along 5S and the Mohawk River. And when I was a kid, we used to ride our bikes right up that hill there, cross over the tracks, and then the canalway, the Mohawk Hudson Canalway Trail or bike trail starts right on the other side of those trains. And I wasn't here then, but 20, 30 years ago, the railroad decided they didn't want to break apart the trains anymore, so they blocked that off and forced you not to use that end of the trail. So it's a shame because there's a real beautiful section of water trail there, it was. So the solution, I think, is to put a tunnel underneath the train tracks there. And there's a lot of work going on. I think that's what this is all part of that, is they're going to put a tunnel under there and connect the two sides. And of course they can't stop the trains going, so it's a whole mess there. And then the Canalway Trail heads this way and just keeps going towards Pattersonville. And it comes out onto 5S down by the Hoffman Cutoff, where the trains go over the Mohawk River. And then it picks up on the other side of Pattersonville there, and then just heads west. A nice long section of trail. But anyway, that's Lock 25. Don't go looking for Lock 24. It's not there. It's underneath 890 there. It's, you have to know where to look for it, and it's buried. Lock 26, 27 are buried out by the Cranesville Block Company, the old Adirondack Power Company station is still there, the old building with the 4 big smokestacks on top of it. And then you hop over towards 26, 27, 28, and you head towards Yankee Hill and out that way, and nice folks at Schoharie Crossing. Anyway, thanks for coming along. Bye-bye.